Hello, good evening. Welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Watcher, on the show this evening as the one and only Bridgeman. And my mate, the Jaffa. How we doing, boys?
Doing great, lads. Doing brilliant. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Can I just say a huge good evening to you two guys? Massive good evening to the guys in the lobby and to all the Rangers fans that are listening in all over the world. Good evening. Welcome to Rangers Radio.
Can I once again just thank the people in Rangers Radio who have supported the GoFundMe page. We've done it, we've raised the target, we have now got a golden boot to send to Shane Duffy to thank him for all his efforts. So thank you for everybody who contributed.
A golden boot, that's brilliant, Barry, absolutely brilliant. Love it, just love it.
A dairy donkey.
You've got
Derry Doggy, I loved that.
Listen, Bridge, did you get your letter this morning, mate?
Hilarious. That was just hilarious last night.
Did you get your letter this morning, Bridge?
About?
Your season ticket renewal.
Oh, yes. Renewal? Mine's just done.
Oh, I'm talking about the one that says, 28, we've not got a manager, please.
Oh, right.
By the way, that office must have been busy today sending out the 4 letters to the season ticket holders, Jaffa.
Oh, aye, they're up to their neck in it. What a carry on, eh? What a laugh.
Something strange going on right enough, isn't there? There's something strange going on right enough. Wow.
No manager, no chief exec, no boardroom, no nothing, no captain, nobody. Stevie Gerrard snapped them in two, didn't he?
He definitely broke them. I've been saying that all the time. You know, since, by the way, he started the breakage when they beat him at Ibrox. He beat them at Ibrox 1-0. Brendan Rodgers' last game for Celtic against the Rangers. He ran away, couldn't take any more of it. Wow.
Yeah. Right, listen, there's a big story, not big story, but a story erupted in Scottish football about what our CEO had to say about trying to benefit Scottish football. So if you don't mind, we'll get myself a mute. We'll hear the interview and then we'll have a bit of open debate about it, and what's been said for the other side. So let's hear from our CEO, Stuart Robertson.
Stuart, discussions are ongoing to enter Rangers B into the Lowland League. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, certainly. I'd love to, Nick, because there's been a lot said over the last few months about B teams, which has been false, frankly. You know, there's been a lot of nonsense talked about it recently. We've been frustrated at the lack of transition pathway for our young players. I mean, you'll hear Ross and Craig talk about this as well, but this is something we spent a lot of time on. After all the nonsense that happened last summer, you know, with the end of the league, we undertook to consult with every club in the SPFL. Only 3 clubs didn't meet us, and they were lower league clubs. But we had good discussions. Ross Wilson, myself, Craig Mulholland, Andrew Dixon, Craig Robertson. We managed to get around every single club apart from those 3, just to understand what their frustrations were with the game at the moment. What would they like to see change? And we presented them with a paper which talked about various things that we could do to make the game better. And that's what it was all about. It was about making the game better and improving the youth development, improving player development. How can Scottish football have better players? And part of that is for the bigger clubs to have B teams, so that we're in control of our players' own destiny. And it's not a case of us lending players to 10, 12, 14 clubs, you know, as we've had to do this season. We feel that works for us, but we recognised that it wasn't a one-size-fits-all model, and that other clubs would work better in other ways. And actually, it was Ian McMahon at Stennismuir who'd come up with the idea of the strategic partnerships. And Stennismuir and Hibs have actually had one this year, and it seems to have worked very well. And we looked at that, we explored it, we debated it with some of the clubs. There were some great ideas from some of the clubs. And we then rewrote the paper. Craig and Ross pulled the paper together, presented it to the PGB as a proposal. And we felt that with everything that had happened over, from COVID, as a result of COVID, we felt this would have been a great time to actually make some changes to the game. And let's come out of COVID on a front foot. Let's really go and make a change to the game that would improve the quality of the players that Scottish football is developing. We hit frustration after frustration after frustration in that process. We went through the PGB, of which I'm a member, and it was approved at PGB. It went through the SPFL board, and it was approved at the SPFL board. And then got to the SFA board, and it slowed down. And we then get told, because we wanted it to be implemented for next year, we knew it would still need a vote, and we knew there would need to be presentations made to the club. But one of my biggest frustrations, having spent a year on this project, is that paper has still never gone to the clubs. The SPFL clubs have still never been presented with that paper. Despite us saying, well, let's make it an SFA idea, let's make it an SPFL idea, let's not make it a Rangers and Celtic idea, let's get it out there and let the clubs see it. It's not been given to the clubs, and you need to ask the SFA and the SPFL why they haven't actually sent that paper to the clubs.
We are really pleased and thankful that George Fraser, the chairman of the Lowland League, has reached out with an invitation to us to potentially consider joining the Lowland League, initially on a one-season basis. That's something that we've looked upon favourably and something that we would potentially be interested in. If, of course, the members of the Lowland League, if that was something that they wanted to embrace as well. We want to test our players in different scenarios. Playing within the Lowland League would provide a completely different football test for the guys, for the young players, as well as our Best v Best Games programme that we would continue to operate on top of that as well against some of the best teams in Europe as well, with a real mixed challenge for our young players. But we want to aid that transition. We feel Scottish football needs to do something for that, and we're thankful that the Lowland League have stepped forward when maybe others haven't.
You mentioned frustrations there. Can you maybe elaborate a bit more on some of them? Yeah,
I think just this is a concept that is clearly to our benefit, and we've been really, really open about that, albeit we built a plan that included benefits for many other people as well, in our opinion. As well as respecting that other people might have alternative views or different views that we also need to embrace and listen to, and we will do. And there may be some other opportunities or strategies that other people have got in mind that can position player development much further up the agenda here in Scotland. However, the frustration probably comes in two ways. One, we haven't really seen any progress at all on some of the things that we think are to the betterment of Scottish football and player development in particular. Those things are steeped in data and research. They're not something that we've just plucked out of thin air. They are concepts that have worked in other countries. So all of that's probably the first frustration. And the second one is, although our plans haven't moved forward, we've also not saw any other plans come forward from anybody else or from the top of the Scottish game with an alternative view. And both of those things together, I think frustration's the right word.
We believe we're the only country in Europe not to have a pathway for our 17-year-olds to 21-year-olds. So if you imagine in Scotland at the moment, we've got an under-18 team, and there's nothing until you get to men's first-team football. That's unacceptable. And what's happened here is George Fraser from the Lowland League, who was the chairman, he was on the Football Innovation Working Group, and he's come up with a solution which is terrific, that perhaps allows us to go into the Lowland League for 1 year and fill that gap that exists at the moment between academy football and first team football, and we're excited about the talks that have taken place so far.
And from here, how do you envisage the process working?
Well, I think first and foremost, the Lowland League's a members' organisation, and what we had to do is make sure there's benefit there for the Lowland League as well. So yeah, we're really open about the fact that it benefits Rangers, and we think it will benefit some of Scotland's best young talent, but importantly, there really has to be benefit for the Lowland League. So if we look at the model, it's a 1 year model, which means there's no promotion or relegation. So if you're a Lowland League team who's got aspirations to get into the SPFL, even if, I don't think this would happen, but even if we won the league, then the next place team would go into the SPFL playoff. So nothing changes there. There's nothing detrimental for any Lowland League club. But what we hope to do is bring a fan base to the league. We hope to bring perhaps a sponsor to the league. We hope to make it a broadcast deal out of our involvement. And I think importantly for the Lowland League, we're committed to supporting them with the authenticity of the pyramid. We've had frustrations with the SPFL and the SFA in terms of pushing the innovation of the B team, the strategic partnerships and everything that's contained within the football innovation paper. I think for the Lowland League, they've had frustrations often that the pathway to SPFL football for aspirational clubs and ambitious clubs has also been closed. So I think what we want to mutually do here is in this 1 year pilot, shine a light on the ambition and the aspiration of some of the really progressive clubs that are existing in the Lowland League, will bring real financial benefit as we come out of a pandemic to some of their clubs. But at the same time, from our point of view, make sure that our young players are in a really competitive environment to go and develop, hopefully pushing towards the implementation of the innovation paper in 22-23. I think one of the issues is that if you look at Croatia as an example, a population similar to Scotland who've reached the World Cup final, and I think it was 67% of their squad who played in that World Cup final or were involved in the squad had come through B teams in their country. And it wasn't lots of B teams, it was only from 3 of their major clubs, because they established as the route from the academy to first team can be challenging. So if this model works in other countries, we heard someone use a line, and this was really frustrating for us, saying, but yeah, those countries that use it are really successful countries. Well, that in itself perhaps indicates as to why we should do it. We're not saying this is the panacea to cure all ills. We're not. It needs to be part of a wider structure and a bigger model.
Our frustration is back to that governance point, and there is no innovation coming out of the authorities. This is coming from us. We've actually sat and worked on this and come up with an idea going around the clubs. These kind of things should be getting led by the SPFL and the SFA, and we're just not seeing that. And if we really want to take this game forward and take our national team forward, we have to see a bit more initiative and innovation coming from the top.
Wow.
Strong words. Strong words.
Yeah, all I'm looking for is there's a bit of common sense there, and I think we've debated it in the past on here, Jaffa. No reserve football, no under-21 football. So how do you bridge that gap? It's no new. It's not a new thing, but that's what the authorities have ended up with. Yeah, but I suppose when you had sellout Saturdays and all that, so the money was flowing in the game and everything was good when they get rid of the Rangers and they lost their TV deal and they had to go cat in hand to the Scottish League so they could get a deal with Sky. You reap what you sow, but we're trying to fix the blunders of certain people in the last decade. Jaffa?
Well, Ox, I think the elephant in the room for me is I think we all know that our club and the authorities, bodies, the SFA and the SPFL are at loggerheads to call it mildly, for a whole variety and a whole of different reasons. But this, to me, is the very future of our game. Taking my Rangers hat off, I played kids football, so did you, Ox. And if I thought for a minute that when I got to 17 or 18, there was nowhere for me to go, it's no wonder that we're losing all these young lads to the game. And if they're developed properly, we all are all different as humans. Some of us develop at 21, some of us develop at 18. Just look at Nathan Patterson. And then look at other guys like, within even our squad, Joe Aribo, who's 24. Everybody develops differently. It pains me, actually, that this is the situation that we've come to, that our club are going with what looks like an incredibly innovative idea. And it's steeped in data, to use Ross Wilson's words there, steeped in data. And he's a guy at the very, very top of his game. And our authorities are not even interested in anything that's going on.
Yeah, it's the tail wagging the dog. I mean, I wonder who the 3 low-level clubs would be. I'm taking a guess. Brecon, Alloa, Turo. Yeah.
Oh, that's absolute certainty. And what was the other one that voted against us and was very vocal? I can't remember the fella's name.
Raith Rovers.
Yeah.
Bridgeman, you back on your chair? I know that I've had to give you a couple of pills before we started this show.
Very good. I think the other club's probably Dunfermline, to be honest. However, I don't know whether that's going too much. Maybe Dunfermline's too far up the lead for this nonsense. But I think Brecon and Alloa are they're like outriders for the Tims. That's just what it looks like. And it doesn't matter what MD comes up with; they're going to snipe. That's what it feels like to me. I know there's been a story of Broke somewhere, and I was looking on Follow. I'm sure I saw it on there, but it's no there, so I must have seen it somewhere else, saying that the SFA and SPFL are saying that the Rangers, the letter, or form, whatever it was, is some inaccuracies in it.
Well, to be fair, there might be an I that we failed to dot in the print,
something like
that will make it, what I mean, Jaffa?
Oh, it's spot on.
Or, I might be honest with you, it might be sitting behind the firewall.
Yeah, it might have went into the spam folder.
Yeah, maybe no got it,
Spot and fold.
You know what I mean? It might be, you know. I know who I believe. Jaffa.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
well, we're shooting from a power. I mean, listen, Ox, we're Scotland's premier football team. We always have. We always will be. We're the quintessential football team in Scottish football. We're in the rightful place. We're at the top of the tree. Our club are shooting from a position of strength. That's always the best way to do business, is shoot from a power of strength. We've got to hold. We're trying to hold these guys to account, and they're nothing more than a snake pit. That's all they are. They're a snake pit.
It's well said, pal. Well said. I don't know what their ulterior motives in all of this are. If some club comes out with something,
It's power match.
yeah, if some club comes out with something, why on earth would they want to start deriding it? They probably haven't even read it or looked at it properly. That is, you know. I can't believe them.
It's just egos. When egos walk into a room, mate, you've always got problems, you know.
And corruption as well, Ox. Let's not be kidding about it. That won't be far away from it all. And you know what happens when you expose corruption?
It comes in a lot of strange guises. Corruption, doesn't it?
Yes, but it doesn't need to be monetary.
No,
It can certainly.
Yeah, there's moral corruption. Yeah,
I mean,
that.
look at the fixtures that came out at the start of this season. I think a lot of us have forgotten that fixture list when it came out last year before this league campaign started off.
I've no
Aberdeen,
it, mate.
I know you've no. Aberdeen away. I mean, how many of the top 6 teams did we play in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season?
Yeah, it did backfire on them a bit, didn't it?
Just a wee bit, mate. Just a wee bit. Hey, absolutely.
Anyway, right, give us your thoughts, give us your views. Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to get a Rangers radio wattle team together, but they're not letting us on the park with our Zimmer frames, you know, so we're struggling at the moment, Bridge, you know.
Very good. Very good.
It's changed days. Everybody wants to play in goals now, Bridge, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, pal. Absolutely, yeah.
But, Jaffa, I've seen a lot of positives for the players' development in that, yeah? You know, if you're 17, 18 and you start playing against men, there'll be people who'll fail because of it, but what they're saying is the data tells you that the cream rises and they progress faster. That's what they're telling you. People will fail.
I know. And also Ross Wilson there and Craig Mulholland clearly and Stuart Robertson, but the two football guys in the football department at our club clearly stated that there's data from Croatia who were in the World Cup final, and 3 of their teams supply 67% of that an international team. And they might start off at Rangers, but bearing in mind, you look how many kids come through our academy at Auchenhowie. I don't know what the numbers are. I know that us and our friends across the city are the 2 biggest clubs in the country. Therefore, we're going to provide most of the players. And what we have a moral responsibility here to Scottish football, and that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to take a duty of care here, but the authorities are just simply not. They're not even listening to us.
Any views, Bridgeman? Any views? Not well, leave Bridge. Jaffa,
I agree with Jaffa. 100% there. Absolutely. They're not listening. They did it the last time at the beginning of the season, or maybe the tail end of last season, when they tried to do some sort of restructure so that Hearts wouldn't get relegated and so on and so forth. Partick Thistle wouldn't get relegated. Just do this and do that, and if you can't do that, let's reorganise the whole system under a different name or whatever. No, didn't want it. They didn't want it.
Yeah. When did Kilty Hearts play Brecon? Anybody know? I know we all be cheering that night.
Yeah, I was talking to his brother yesterday.
Oh, I heard you bumped into him.
Aye,
in the West End, Bridgeman.
In the West End, of course. Aye, in the West End. He was very chatty, very chatty. Spoke very highly of his old stomping ground. Aye, he was in good fettle. Derek Ferguson chatting to him yesterday.
Is that not a double negative to Hamilton boys? You know.
Aye, up the West End. That's an oxymoron.
Bridges giggling away there. Oh dear.
Wondering if you were in some sort of posh drinking place, were you?
I wasn't, Bridge, but I think Mr. Ferguson had a couple of sherbets, but I made sure he got up the road and he got to the train station.
Well done. Well done.
Well done, Jaffa. Well done. We're proud of you, mate. Proud of you. Right. Come on, give us a phone. What's the number, Bridge?
The number's 0141 356 1972.
Come and join us, give your views. Real radical stuff there, Stuart Robertson and Craig Mulholland and of course Ross Wilson. They've not just cobbled this together, Jaffa, have they?
Oh no, well, I think Stuart Robertson alluded to that this has been getting worked on for a year. Think of the energy and the time and the amount of information that's went into that we've footed the bill for this. You know, it is radical stuff, folks, and it just if it was implemented, it just shows you what kind of impact we could really have on Scottish football, doesn't it?
Here. Bridgeman, your thoughts?
I don't know what to think, to tell you the truth. I think we just spoke about these issues surrounding the B teams, let's call them, getting into it.
Colts, whatever you want, yeah.
Colts, yeah. Getting into somewhere within the SPFL. And I just...
But they're not even saying that now. They're not even saying that, Bridge.
What's your interpretation of what they're saying?
Well, they're saying that they'll play in the Lowland League.
Yeah.
And even if they win it, they'll not go into the SPFL. They'll let the second place team go on.
So there's no promotion. There's
no promotion for these B teams.
Yeah, is that not because it's only a one season wonder?
Yeah, but that's the devil's in the detail. They've only got a 1 year offer at the moment. Yeah. So they're not wanting to stifle any club with ambition, Jaffa.
Well, exactly, and they're still retaining the integrity of the league. So the team, if a Lowland League team became second, they would obviously go forward to try and get into the playoff for the SPFL place. So, totally transparent. There is benefits to our club. Obviously, we're getting our young reserve teams, B team, Colt teams. We're getting them the game time, Ox, as you quite rightly said, because they'll be playing against men.
Hello, it's Wallace.
Hello, Wallace. Can you turn the show off, please?
Sorry?
You need to turn the show off in the background.
Right, I'm trying to get out of the garden.
Right.
Right, I'm out. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you as long as you've not got the show on. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What's on your mind?
There's a few things on my mind. I know the Rangers have been doing great today and been brilliant all season. What it is it's hard to say, to be honest. But with the new players coming in, it's good. But can we not get a little bit better on? It's hard. What's upset me today is certain things political-wise. I don't want to really talk about it, but...
We'll leave that this now, mate. You're not alone.
Right. I'm just... It's a little thing I put on Facebook. If a lot of Rangers fans are unhappy about what's happening, if Scotland wanted to go independent, would a majority of Rangers fans want to go down south? That's what I would like to ask.
That's no debate for here, Wallace. That's political. So, what else is on your mind, Rangers-wise, mate? I'm
looking forward to next season.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely looking forward to next season. I think personally, I think we'll romp it, to be honest.
Okay. Jaffa, in you come, mate?
Romping's a great word, and so I think we're in a strong place. We're recruiting. I heard the lads last night. I heard Port Bear talking about some of the new players that we've got already signed up. It's looking great, Wallace. It's looking great. We've just got to keep our head down and keep the focus.
Definitely.
And I don't think the guys in charge at our place. I think the word that keeps getting used, and it's a magic word. Relentless, mate. Relentless.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I've seen this year is, I mean, I'm 56 years old, and some of the football I've seen this year is better than when I started watching Rangers since, I stargazed at about 11 years old, just walking into Ibrox. And some of the football I've seen through the years was brilliant. But,
what did you do in the 11-year-olds, 11 years before you went?
Oh, well, I mean, like I said before, I was brought up in Kilwinning. My family moved over to Arran, and the old Ibrox, the old harbour master put me on the Drogheda Rangers sports bus a long time ago.
It was a lot easier for us to get there with the Govan Ferry than you.
It was. But from there, it opened my eyes. It's just a beautiful place, and I felt it was my first love, and my family all my family now down south are Rangers fans, but I've never seen football like it, and what Gerard's done. Honestly, the football the football I've seen this year in Europe. If you look at the goals that this team's done this year, you go a long way to see that again. It's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's been memorising, absolutely memorising.
I have to say what he's saying is probably true. Personally, I think this is the best season, and my emotional state.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, I like listening. I know they give you a bit of a stick bridge, but I like listening to you and how you talk about the past, and that reminds me of my mum. And it's just been brilliant. But this year, this football has been brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Well, I personally think that,
and I think we're going to get more of it. We're going to get more of it because of Steven Gerrard.
It's a long time. Can you hear me? It's a long time since I've seen. It's a long time since I've seen a really great Rangers team and made us all happy, and it was great.
Oh,
I'm talking in the past
brilliant.
There,
some of the goals, the football has been brilliant.
See this season, pal. We've played some fabulous football. We've also watched some terrible results and terrible performances.
Oh yeah, but I'm the biggest critic. Honestly, when I sit and watch Rangers, I'm the biggest critic. I get angry and stuff like that, but like a lot of other people, I get angry. I just want my Rangers to get better and better and better, because I know we are the people. Because when I was growing up, my mum told me, we are the people, son. Listen, this is the best football club in the world.
Your mum seems like a very wise woman, but I love.
Oh, she is. And her name is Barbara, by the way.
Big shout out to Barbara, who got in our Rangers support. I love the fact that you've called Bridge an old woman live in air. Listen, Wallace, we've got some more callers coming in. Great to hear from you, mate. You look
Thank you. Thanks for keeping me. I know over a couple of beers, but thank you. And I love Rangers Radio. Keep it going.
Soon, speak to you soon.
Going for the Rangers.
Take it easy. I love.
What a nice man, Bridgeman. But called Bridgeman an old woman. That'll do, mate. Thank you. I think there was a big compliment in there towards you, Bridge.
Of course.
He gets all the compliments on here, Jaffa.
He certainly does. Can you hear me all right, Ox? I think I'm having a bit of signal problems.
Yes.
You got me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, mate. Hear you fine. You hear him, Bridge?
I can hear him, yeah.
It's only James.
By the way,
stuff,
he's got a nice
good
voice.
stuff.
Got a nice voice.
It's only James from Tennessee we worry about.
Don't. That's too funny.
Right.
Hello, Kenny.
How you doing, alright?
You need to turn your TV or the show off, mate. Yeah?
I'll do that. Right.
You need to hurry up, mate.
Yeah, it actually gave up.
But if you keep
Come
phoning,
on,
mate,
Kenny.
we
That's
can't
an
phone you
amateur.
back.
That's an amateur mistake.
I'll give you a wee clue about the phones, Kenny. See if you keep phoning, we can't phone you back.
Alright, cool. It's after, right?
All right. If you phone every 2 seconds, we can't phone you back, mate. Right.
Right,
The floor's all yours, mate.
Would be surprised you're actually great to talk to all you guys. Good evening, Ox, Bridgeman,
Yeah, evening, mate.
Jaffa.
Hi, Kenny.
Jaffa.
How you doing, mate?
I'm going to ask you here by something you said earlier on here.
Oh,
Rangers was Scottish football. I can't explain it for actually something you said really annoyed me. Rangers was Scottish football nothing.
I don't know, but part of Jaffa's statement.
More or less, views, you know, I never actually take you to think about it. Rangers were nothing, Scottish football nothing.
He said they were Rangers Premier Club. Yeah, the quintessential British club. I think was near enough the words he used. I never took his words down word per word, but I don't think he said that we were to help bail clubs out or get involved. But what he was saying was, and Jaffa, you come in any time you like, mate, that if it's going to be good for the young players, ultimately Scottish football could benefit from it as well. I think that was the point he was making.
I think I said with a responsibility to Scottish football, Kenny.
That's the point, Jaffa, right? That's the point.
I think that's just for the greater well-being for kids, Kenny, for the future of anything that you do, no matter what you do in life. You know, you've got to look behind you and make it better for the way it was before, or at least try to make it better. And if we can leave it better and stronger for the young kids, and it will benefit all the kids, I acknowledge that, but it will ultimately benefit Glasgow Rangers. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm into that. I'm on board with that one, mate.
Next point, Kenny.
Well, I'm up here about that one, you know. I'm so bitter, you know. That hasn't happened. I'm only interested in Rangers kids and what they do, you know, and you know, we don't forget, you know what I mean? I couldn't care less about other Scottish teams. Everything that benefits their club or the better for me, you know.
Sure, mate.
I don't care. I'm not interested in Scottish football.
You know I'm with you, mate. I'm right beside you.
I don't forget it, you know what I mean? And Black Rangers Day and our players there, I'd rather put them into North East England or something, you know what I mean? Nothing to Rangers Football Club to benefit Scottish football.
Yeah, but there's a bigger picture, Kenny, and that bigger picture is exactly the VT that was played at the beginning of the show regarding from Stuart Robertson and Ross Wilson and Craig Mulholland was telling you exactly the kind of problems that they're having, that the SFA and the SPFL are not even looking at the proposal. And ultimately, Kenny, the bigger picture is, mate, we need to break that in two in there. We need to snap it, because it's not conducive. It's not helpful to anybody. In particular, it's not helpful to Glasgow Rangers.
And ultimately, if we get it right with our youth, we save ourselves billions and millions and millions of pounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the point I think that Stuart Robertson, Craig Mulholland and Ross Wilson were making. If our players develop better and faster, other teams benefit, but ultimately we benefit. It's a vicious circle, Kenny. I mean, Bridgeman's on here. I'm going to bring Bridge in before we bring in young David from Cumbernauld. Bridgeman's advocated on here for years not to purchase any players for any SPL team, any Scottish team. He's also said not to give him one brown copper coins, one of Bridges' famous statements. And we've debated that often on here about what responsibility you've got as away fans and fans, etc. Yeah, Bridgeman, in you come.
Yeah, 100%. That's I've said that, and I keep shouting and bawling about it. If it was me, if I could get away with that, and shall we say, convince Rangers, I would never give any of them a brown copper coin. I would go for their last minute deals, like we did with Kamara. I wouldn't mind getting into one of them, but it's a reasonable sum of money. But no, you go, as soon as Rangers go and speak to some of these clubs, the price is trebled. I've got this wee player, and he's worth a couple of £100,000, and then Rangers go ahead. Well, that's £3 million. Right, okay. That's just what they're doing, is it? It's just wrong. It's just wrong. So I wouldn't give them nothing, because they won't give us nothing. They will not give us nothing. That's the truth.
All right, we've also been joined by David from Cumbernauld. Evening, David. How are you, mate?
Hi, David.
I'm doing all right. Still jumping for joy for the old firm.
Yeah. Have you got one
the
of
old
the
Celtic fan was getting the knocks on the door, and the knocks were going unanswered.
What you saying, David? Sorry, I missed that, mate.
And there's a Celtic fan next door to me, and I normally give him a wee dog after we beat him, and not least to say that the knocks went unanswered the last few days.
I've got a theory on that, mate. I think you need to move house.
Get into Lark Hall. They were good enough to paint a subway sign blue.
How we doing, mate? What's on your mind, mate?
I was just wondering what the panel's thoughts are on any of our loan players possibly having a chance of getting back into the Rangers team.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I'm especially thinking Jordan Jones. I know he's burnt his bridges quite a lot, but he seems to be gone all right. Maybe I'd give him one last chance.
I don't think we'll ever see Jordan Jones playing for us personally. I don't know what your view is, Jaffa.
I think you're right there, Ox. I know what you're saying, David. I've been watching some of the results coming through from Sunderland. I don't know, David. It's going to be up to Stevie G. Whether he gets him back. I mean, he'll come back to the end of his loan. He might get, as you say, the one last chance. He might throw him a dice and say, "Look, show us what you've got." Edmondson, he's in the same kind of boat, isn't he? He's in the same situation. I don't know about Jordan Jones. I'm not sure. I don't even. I mean, with Scott Wright coming in, would that not probably tell us what the answer to that is? Probably.
Well, if I remember right, Jordan Jones himself has actually said that Steven Gerrard said that he'd be keeping his left eye on him, if you know what I mean. But I just think when we've brought players in and you've loaned them out, I always think it's a shame to just go, well, they're no use, and just get rid of them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I especially think Jordan Jones. I know he's done stupid things, and I know he's bumped bridges, and I'm not saying I'm on his side or anything, but I do think everybody deserves a chance to redeem themselves.
I think if it had been one incident, you've got a chance. I don't think you get two chances with Gaffer. Bridgeman?
Well, I think our players, both of them, have probably played better and performed better for the club that they're on loan to than what you call him, the Derry Donkey. His loan player. So that's the way I feel. But I was a great fan of the boy Jones. I thought he would be a real star for us, and he looked great. He played really well against Motherwell, scored a cracking goal, and so on and so forth. And he played a good well against a couple of teams. But the truth is, he never actually lived up to the stuff he was doing with Kilmarnock.
He's played for us 8 games, and I know he's not been with us 2 years, but he has been. Obviously, we loaned him out. He's only played 8 games and 11 substitute appearances. That also tells me that the manager hasn't get full. I know he had an injury. That also tells me that the manager hasn't get full confidence in him, David. Jaffa. Wouldn't you go, David, and then Jaffa?
All right, sorry. I thought you were bringing me in there.
You carry on, mate.
It's just I don't know what it is. It's not that I'm backing him to come back into the team or anything. I do agree that Scott Wright seems to be his replacement, and he'll most likely go. But if you're playing with a team like Sunderland and you're doing all right, I mean, I think it would be no silly, but bad in a way for them to just dismiss him offhand.
Maybe £750,000, £1 million transfer fee, Kenny, would help soften the blow.
Yeah, I mean, I came on here last year, I said Jones, big fan of Jones. He personally given him a chance. Maybe controversial with that one, you know, but
people are entitled to their opinion.
He's a young boy. He's a young boy, effed up, and the other young kids once again. Nathan Patterson, give that boy another chance. He personally, the other one, nah, he's not a dangerous supporter. Get on him.
All right. But do I think any other loan players? No, that's a good one. I think that was some of the points that Stuart Robertson was trying to make, Jaffa. If you have them all together, these players, you can develop them, train them, look at them. When you're putting them out of loan to several clubs, it becomes very difficult to watch their progress, yeah?
Exactly, Locks. That's exactly the point he was making. I mean, how many players have we got out? 12, 14 players on loan? You know, from Kai Kennedy and all the younger kids that are out as well. Imagine that as a wee team. And incidentally, I think they just going on that same point, what Stuart Robertson was saying. I know as a Rangers fan, I would watch the kids. I watch the women's team now. I never thought I would say that, but I do.
Yeah, you're here.
You got an ulterior motive for that?
No, he likes the football, mate. No, everybody's like you and JFK. Don't think we forgot about you.
Excuse me.
Yeah. David, in you come. Back in you come.
I'm not getting involved in that.
I think it's the whole thing as well with this, the B teams thing. I think these clubs hold too much power than the scale, and I don't know what they've got against the. But we got to think they're giving them money just for the privilege of putting teams down there. And I'm not being bad to these teams, but their stadiums will be 90% empty most of the time. With the Rangers and the Celtic fans and maybe other possible teams coming down there, their stadiums would be more fuller than what they would be. So I don't see what they've got against money. You know, I mean, maybe it's just that they can't let go of the power. Maybe that's it.
Power. Bridgeman, we've been joined by a caller, but I want to give you a clue, Bridgeman, see if you get it, yeah?
Go on.
Scott Brown is broken.
I love it. Scott Brown is broke. Sorrow. Brilliant.
That's song of the year, that one, isn't it?
Brilliant, just brilliant.
How we doing, Alex?
Good evening, Bridgeman.
Hey, all right, Alex. You're doing well.
Hey, Jaffa, Kenny.
How you doing, Alex?
Yeah, brilliant, man. That's definitely a Christmas hit, Bridgeman. Definitely. Listen to you singing there. I know one thing. Jodie Pollock will only need to bother anyway when we're singing after her. There you go, eh? Everybody's singing it now.
Are you not duetting with her, Alex, down at the Bar 72, no?
Me and Bridgeman will be up there, and the man from Tennessee. He's the backer, isn't he?
Yeah, they're calling them the Masonettes.
Certainly a good laugh. It's a good laugh. That's what it's about, isn't it?
Did you
on the serious note, about what Jaffa's talking about, a brilliant idea with Stuart Robertson, Ross Wilson and Craig Mulholland. Fantastic idea. The problem we've got is it's probably because Rangers proposed this and try to implement it. If been probably a team across the city, it'd have been probably differently. Spoke about it, debated about. And the thing about us, if all these young Rangers players that are all, we've got different teams all around about, if they get into that B League, what happens is they all play together the Rangers way, and they're all playing the same system. So when they come back to Ibrox, that's how they're playing. This is what it's about, to give these guys another level of football. Because if they get lost, after about 17 years of age, you see them. Some are working in supermarkets and some have just gave the game up altogether.
Yeah, the dropout's ridiculous, Alex.
The dropout's terrible. That's how we've got a team going now. And okay, they're away into 20s and all that now. Some are up to about 25. But these boys they've played pro youth and all that, and they've just got lost. They've just started getting out and doing what done Gallivant and they carry on. And we've got them all together here. Okay, albeit it's only a pup team, but you could see the potential these kids had. Some were with Hamilton Accies when they were youth and all this. And basically they just went away, and this is what it's about. All this talent that's there and we're losing it. And it's a true point there. If that Croatia can do it, I'm not comparing Scotland to Croatia now, but over the time, maybe 5 years of that to bring these boys through, but you've got to take the opportunity for these young kids. And all we're trying to do is help Scottish football. We're the team now with the coefficient to keep it going. And because it's Rangers, that's what it's all about. And they're just throwing, what do you call it, a spanner into the works.
But
that's how I look at it.
Not everybody's like you, Alex, with morals and wants to see kids thrive. Yeah, we know that every youth that plays with Rangers isn't going to make it at Ibrox. We know that. But if we can give them the best chance to make it somewhere else, or to serve this purpose, you've got a duty to the kids that don't make it as well, yeah?
That's right, absolutely. What they're trying to do is they're looking after Scottish football as well. They're giving these kids a platform. They've got the talent of the Rangers at the beginning. And it's to see them get into the next level. Some kids will make it and some kids won't. But there you go. But as I say, I quite enjoyed the interview and I listened to Stuart Robertson. I found it, quite interesting. And I was 100% behind them. And it should go through for this B team. As you say, the first year, that's it. It's not as a promotion or anything like that. They're just going there and give the guys a feel of playing football. There's nothing wrong with that, surely.
Yeah. But, can I ask a question? If both the Rangers and Celtic's B teams, Colts, were involved in this, so somebody from Celtic must have been a spokesman as well, and must have agreed with what Rangers were doing. I don't quite understand why the authorities are blaming Rangers, our man, chief executive, managing director, whatever it is. I just see his name's the only one that's getting mentioned. Mind you, Celtic don't have one, do they?
Hey, Bridgeman.
This has been going for a year, isn't it? It's been a year they've been looking into this. So, sorry, when you go.
Back to your point. That's your people's front of Judea there, you know what I mean?
Aye.
That's what it is with him, you know what I mean?
That's what
the people's front of Judea.
People's front of Judea, aye. That was great. That was great. Good, that was.
I think as a Premier club, as a champions, as a coefficient drivers, we've got a responsibility to the game. It's very difficult. I understand Kenny's point that he doesn't want to look after other clubs. I get that, but ultimately we're looking after ourselves, Alec. Yeah.
You're looking after your own boys. The thing is, how good these boys are going to be, we'll never know. And it could save you money and end up, they could come through here, as Jaffa says, they could end up like Nathan Parsons and that. We don't know how good these kids are. You've got that young Kelly, he's up at Ross County now. Young Williamson's out about. So, if we can get these teams to get into the B League and they're just leaving Okinawa and they're going to play, they're still playing the same Rangers way in that. And if there is an opening, they walk into the team. If they're that good enough to just get in. If you're a midfield player, you get into midfield, you're a left back. This is an opportunity for them. And I'm 100% behind it. Hopefully it gets through.
Alex, as you know, well know, when you're playing football and you're a young lad, it's not just the football, of course, is the epicentre, the pinnacle of it, but it's the travelling, it's the all being together, it's the camaraderie, and that's how you develop as a footballer. And when you're with your parent club, especially when you play for Rangers and you sign for Rangers or Celtic for that matter, they're massive football clubs, and as a young 17-year-old, to develop, there's nothing better. Can you imagine Rangers B team, even though it is the B team, those young kids travelling down to up to Forfar, going to Brecon, going to Stenhousemuir? It would be brilliant for their development. Absolutely brilliant for it.
Yeah, 100% right. That's what it's about. It's not just the football, as you say. It's all been together. It helps. The fitness, their mental health and well-being, everything's involved in all this. And this is what it's about with these all young guys. I'm 100% behind it anyway. I think it's a great idea. Whether it gets through or not is another thing, right enough. To me, Rangers have been working on this for a full year. And maybe Celtic as well, I don't know. But I'm just listening to Stuart Robinson there, right enough. Ross Wilson, let's be quite truthful. What he doesn't know about the game's not worth it either.
Yeah. I mean, I see
Craig Holland there as well.
Yeah, I see Ross very much like myself, mate. Yeah.
That's brilliant, Ox. That's brilliant, mate.
Well done, Ross. Well done, Ox. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Cheers, Alec. You just roll him out at the Listen, we've been joined by a guy who I know has got a passion for this. We've been joined. How are we doing, Gary?
How are we doing, everybody? We okay?
Hi, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Good to hear from you, mate. Yeah, what's on your mind, mate?
No, just listening to you talking about the B team proposal. I think it's going to be a good thing. The only downside would be if clubs thought that we were out to profit from it in some way, which it's going to benefit both parties, isn't it? In order to be beneficial to everybody.
Well, we would maybe. Would we profit for it? I don't know. I think it would be a cost to us, but we would also. They're talking about potentially trying to bring in sponsorships to the Lowland League, and also maybe showing their games on Rangers TV, where some of the home teams would get revenue. I just don't know whether it's a win-win for them, and don't know what we gain out of apart from players' development. Gary, you know.
Aye, I don't know about sponsorship and that, mate, but Bears fans you would have an element there, a large element for Scottish football, at least, that would be willing to travel to away grounds, obviously in the thousands, to go and watch this B team, the emerging young boys, or maybe even watch them, on Rangers TV.
I don't know if
there's not
thousands and thousands travel to watch the Colts, mate. Maybe in bigger games they would, yeah.
I know, but I think that there would be an element. So what I mean is there would be a pool of thousands, if that makes sense. Not tens of thousands, a couple of thousands. They wouldn't go to every game, but you would have maybe 300-400 for a game, and maybe 200-300 for an hour game every week going to these grounds, and that's 200-300 travelling to Annan, for instance, or something like that. That's a wee bit of money for a club like that. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing to us, but for them to get an extra 300-400 tickets sold through the gates, twice a year, that allows that's quite a lot of money for a wee club. It's not going to transform the game, but it's local communities and that as well. So that's what they're benefiting from it. But where Rangers would benefit is, like you were saying, with the boys growing up together, the boys getting to know each other's game, getting to know the ethos of the club more. I think it's something it's definitely still there, but it's kind of the traditions of the club a wee bit have been lost with players going on loan, because if you look at the traditions of the club, the players always wearing their suit and ties to games and summing up. I mean, obviously times move on. But we need to get back to having that core ethos of the reserve team. We've all heard the stories of the reserve team and the boys coming through, Charlie Miller and stuff like that, and coming through and being invited up to play with the first team. That doesn't happen if you're not on loan. So in some ways we need to get back to that.
I like the Coisty story you told about Charlie Miller the first day. Was in
brilliant.
The dressing room, and Charlie put his head through the door and said, "Hey, Coisty, you live in East Kilbride, can you drop me off in Castlemilk?" I thought that was brilliant. But it's all about player development, Alec. That's the point, and that was the point that Stuart Robertson was trying to make. And I don't have a problem with it, mate, personally. Alec?
No, I'm the same. I totally agree. And it gives the team, even of us 100 or 200 people turn up to watch them where they're playing. It gives the kids that bit of experience as well, playing in front of even be it small crowds and that. Everything's all positive. I mean, I don't see any negative in this at all, but and as I say, it'll enhance Rangers Football Club, because if we can unearth some gems, think of the money's tight now with the transfers and that, and if we can bring young boys through, it's absolutely wonderful for Rangers itself. In Scottish football, you can see different kids coming through. You can always say, "Oh, I've seen him as a wee boy and he's maybe made the grade and that." And that's it. That's how I feel about it.
Aye. Bridgeman, last word before we go to the tune to the old Bridgeman, If he's not there, Jaffa, and you come, mate.
I agree with obviously everything you guys are saying. The other thing to think about as well would be going back to maybe the olden, maybe the 70s, where we had reserve games against Celtic. So we would have the Colt games against the Old Firm, and it would be great for the young lads to play in that. I don't know what size of crowds we would get, Ox, 20,000, 30,000 at a game like that at Ibrox or Parkhead.
We have done it in the past, mate, but I think if you've been realistic, you maybe, if you're talking about Wednesday night in November and it was just a league game, you're maybe talking 5,000, didn't you? 10,000, yeah, max.
Yeah. I went to 97 just after when Advocate came in, and we had signed.
Come on, if you're going to
signed everybody basically.
If you're going to come on here and say Advocate come in 97, please do your homework.
No, 98, but it was a game. It was the season before that, so it was kind of pre-season leading up. We hadn't quite taken the team yet. We were signing all the players, and I went to the. I'm sure it was a pre-season friendly between Rangers and Celtic reserves at Ibrox, and there was 37,000 there.
It's not in my memory bank, mate.
Big attraction. But
I remember a big crowd when Durant made his comeback, and I know we used to get crowds about 10.
It was unbelievable, mate. I'll get the date and let you know. But I remember going to it. I sat in the Copeland rear, and it was just mental. And Antoniemi played in goals. It was colossal, mate. I've never seen a crowd like it for a reserve game.
Even before that,
there was one when Durant made his comeback, and then when he played Celtic, when he was in the team, there was a massive crowd. But I can't remember that when Advocate appeared. Yeah, when we
had the reserve teams, we remember we used to go over, obviously, excuse me, when we were playing a game ourselves at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the day, and over the Ibrox.
Make it over.
It's somewhere along the line we used to follow Alec Miller. He was only a young lad at the time, and he was starting to play in the reserves, centre forward and things like And it was great. It was great watching them, and there was quite a few thousand people there. Quite a few thousand, that's for sure.
People went to the reserves because everything was 3 o'clock on a Saturday then, wasn't it? Anyway,
it was the same thing.
Get yourself
on a Saturday at Ibrox.
Aye, and the away game was 3 o'clock on a Saturday somewhere else.
Absolutely,
yeah. Anyway, get yourself from mute. But before we have a tune, can I give a shout out? Funny enough, Bridgeman, the guy's name's Alec Miller. He was a Stone Rangers fan from Luton, involved in the Rangers Supporters Club. Unfortunately, Alec passed away, so all my best wishes for everybody here. To everybody connected with Alex Miller, same name but a different guy. All the best to you, Alex, and his family. But get yourself from mute. We're going to have a tune.
I've been in exile for some years, and my eyes filled up with tears when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. So I took a trip along just to hear some famous songs when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. I stood there all alone while the boys all down from home sang of Rangers, that team of great renown. And a sight I'd never seen when they sang God Save the Queen, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. There's no not a team like the Glasgow Rangers. One of the famous songs they sung, and a sight I'd never seen when they sang God Save the Queen, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton Town. Now on the field below, the boys put on a show, the likes they'd never seen at Molyneux. And it's football, it was grand, from Macmillan, Scott and Brand, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton Town. There's not a team like the Glasgow Rangers, one of the famous songs they sung, and a sight I'd never seen when they sang God Save the Queen, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton Town. Now the white flag must come nearer, with men like Bobby Shearer, the way he played at Wolverhampton Town. And the world forever after would sing of Jimmy Baxter, for on his head they placed that noble crown. There's not a team like the Glasgow Rangers, one of the famous songs they sung, and a sight I'd never seen when they sang God Save the Queen, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton Town. Now I knew it had to happen, I heard a mighty roar, the famous Glasgow Rangers they had scored. And the sky was white and blue, Wolverhampton shook right through, the loyal rampant Rangers had come through. There's not a team like the Glasgow Rangers, one of the famous songs they sung, and a sight I'd never seen when they sang God Save the Queen, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton Town. When the Rangers came to Wolverhampton Town.
Wolverhampton shook right through. What a song. What a team.
Brilliant song. Brilliant. I love that song.
Brilliant. Those were the days.
Yeah, Joe, they're no longer with us. The boy sung that. Sad day, that was. Sad day. Right, okay. Where are we? How you doing, GB? We've not heard you for a while, yeah? Oh, he's not there. Does he want to talk to his chaffer?
Is that me?
You're GB.
Oh, you know.
You know, I'm trying to work it out, because there's another guy called GB, and whenever I speak up when he's on, you tell me off.
But he's not on, so you...
I don't know that.
There's 4 Alex on something.
He does that all the time. Don't worry about it, son.
We're doing all right. My wee business is still shut, but we're reopening 10 days' time. So looking forward to that and getting back to some normality. I'm still keeping myself busy, but not bringing in any money till we're reopened. So
obviously,
it's a shame, mate.
If you need any dough, just ask Bridge, mate. He's got the Swiss number ready.
Bridgman as well. He's minted, isn't he? Millionaire. No, don't worry about it. I'm taking care of myself using taxman's money, so we'll wait and see what happens.
You're the man on here sponsored by Toblerone Bridges.
Toblerone. I love that stuff, too.
Do you not think it hurts, Bridge, when you put it in your mouth and you snap it?
Oh, I just let it melt. Oh, see when you snap it right enough, aye. I remember that.
That's good that things are going to get back to normal for you, Gary. How's that boy of yours?
Get back to normal.
All right, mate.
Good, mate. Yes, Kenny, what's on your mind, mate?
Sorry, get back to normal. A couple of years ago, my granddaughter, and my partner, over at Ivy's, mate, looking at it and Ivy's passing a meal. My granddaughter just get the photos back a few minutes ago. Unbelievable, you know. She's sitting like that in awe, Is that not amazing? You know what I mean? That's to me a granddaughter. I said it before on here. Remember the banner? Oh, your granddaughters and grandmas would sell it. There's my wee granddaughter, mate. That's a couple of years ago. I've got the photos on my phone.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. We've been joined.
Having a meal.
Oh, brilliant, mate. We've been joined with Dave for Corby. How we doing, Dave?
How you doing? You all right?
Hi, Dave.
How are you? How are you, Bridgeman? Are you doing
wonderful,
all right?
thank you. And you?
Yes, I'm fine, mate, Bridgeman. Yeah, I'm really good. Are you?
Yes, sir.
All, yeah. What do you reckon to this new striker that's coming to Rangers?
Striker? Oh, you mean
Fashion.
Fashion Sakala. Jaffa, over to you.
Fashion. Delivery. Fashion. Down to left. Over right. Down to right. I'm a big believer. See JFK last night. Fashion. Oh, magic, mate.
But the thing was, you never seen JFK do reactions, mate. That was funnier.
1983, the concert of Murrayfield, don't forget it.
Yeah.
I was there.
Dave, just like... sorry,
on you go, Jaffa, on you go.
I was just going to say, Dave, just like everybody else, I guess, seen the YouTube videos, and the boy looks a bit of, he looks pacey. He's got something about him. He looks as though he's got something about him. I'm quite excited about seeing him, actually, to be honest with you. And he's got our recruitment team's DNA all over him. We've got him for a free transfer. I heard a couple of the guys last night. It's brilliant. If he doesn't work out, we move him on, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What do you think, David?
I think he will be a good signing, I reckon. He's got the pace and all that, what I've seen on YouTube. But YouTube, you know what I mean? When it comes to Ibrox, is he going to shine or is he going to fail?
You don't know. That's the gamble you make when you make signings, Bridgeman.
Yeah, of course. But I think our manager is, he knows they've done the work. Imagine they've done all the work that's required. And the way they see in him, he's going to fit right in. And that's what they're going to try and get him to fit right in. And if he's got pace, we'll play in our team. Most assuredly. He must be able to pass, he must be able to run and do the business, and he'll do it. I'm convinced of it.
What's your views, Alec? For Wishaw, we've been cute again. 4 boys in, strengthening our squad. We don't know how good they are, but they might have improved our squad. They're getting the numbers in. People are going to leave.
Well, that's the way to do it. You strengthen you're at the top, but I'm the same. You've seen me on YouTube and that, but I'll rest my judgment to see the guy on the flesh on the park. But apparently he can play in the centre and he can play in the wing. He's quite pacey in that, so... Aye, you've got to, what do you call it, Stevie Gerrard. If that's who they've picked in that the recruitment and that, so if that's the kind of guys that they're going for, you've got to go behind them because they've done majority of things right. The only one was like Zunga turned out like a damp scrub there right enough, so we'll wait and see.
I mean, had we heard that Connor Goldson? Anybody? Had we heard that Barisic?
Oh, sorry, Alex, I came back in here.
On you go, Kenny.
That obviously fashion name. Watched one of the Rangers podcasts. That boy, right? He basically wants a forward country, right? And you see him running about the football park. He's chasing, you know what I mean, to get his fitness up, you know, get that rubbish talk, you know what I mean. See boys like that. I remember these coloured boys like that. They come from nothing, you know. That's the boys you want. You want really. They're hungry to make it in the rest of the world, you know what I mean? And I think we've got a good one here in that boy. I really do. Hungry.
Right, okay. Listen, Kenny, it's been great talking to you, mate. We've got some more callers coming in. Always good to get you on a Friday, yeah? Your opinions are always valid, mate. Right, we'll speak to you soon, mate.
Okay, right.
Right, cheers, Brad. You look after yourself.
You too, mate.
A couple of callers coming in. Hi, so Callum, have you seen much of him, GB? I know you're a study of world football.
Aye, so my thoughts, the boy's got pace, we can see that on YouTube. However, pace it's not really valued so much when you're playing against teams like Hamilton are going to pack 10 guys behind the ball and leave no space in behind. So he's just another string for Rangers to be able to use in games where we can stretch opponents. So more like you're looking at European football. If the boy clicks, and can do it at a higher level than what he has, then Rangers, when they're playing against teams that we've come up against, likes in Europe, that will come out and play against us. When we actually play, you're looking at players like Roof, Morelos, Itten. They're not the fastest. They're good players, but they're not the fastest. The only real pace we've got up front is Kent, who's rapid. But if he's playing against you in a front three, you just have to take care of him. Whereas if you've got another player like Sakala playing, you've got two prongs, if you like, up front that have got pace, if you can play both of them, or bring them on for the last 20 minutes when teams are tired. So it's just that he's not going to be that impactful probably when we're playing against, packed defences, but it's just another option for when the game gets a wee bit stretched.
Unless he goes in a goal-scoring run, yeah.
Aye.
But we don't know, only time will tell. Yeah, well, good points. Anyway, we've also been joined with our good friend Bob here. Evening, Bob here.
How you doing, folks? All right?
How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing okay. I'll not be long tonight, Ox. Just 5 minutes, pal. You let you get your other callers, because it'll soon be, as I keep saying to Bridget, it'll soon be dog time.
Dog time?
And according to what you're telling me, Ox, when you're next to Bridget, it'll not be drunk time. But that'll be proved in the future, I believe. Right?
Bridge is all right with the drinking, mate.
I know you. 100% gentleman, that man. I know I can't wait to make his acquaintance. I can't wait to take a drink off him either. Anyway, good evening.
Don't get too ambitious here. Come on.
I know, pal. I know. I shouldn't have jumped on his back. I know. I'm sure it's all true. Right. I'd like to just for a minute, as you Rangers fans agree with, I'd like to take issue with one of the great names of world football, one Sir Alex Ferguson. I'm sure you've read about it. You've read about it in the press that they're going to be making a documentary on him. And a bit of the documentary, he uses the big stick to bash Glasgow Rangers. And I'm not going to rabble on about the situation with his wife's persuasion. That's entirely up to him. But he turned around and said that he took the blame for the 1969 final when we were beat 4-0 with Celtic. Well, my worst to Fergie is this. Fergie, you were a dud. You were not good enough to play for Rangers. And if Colin Stein had been available that day, he was sent off against Clyde. And he incurred the suspension for the final. And if Colin Stein had been available that day, Fergie, you wouldn't even have been playing. So you can forget all that. You were a dud. You weren't good enough. Greatest manager ever, probably. But, nah, I didn't like when they bring out the big stick and bash your club with it all these years. No fair. No right, and it's no fair.
It's no news story.
That's my point on him.
Yeah, but it's no news story, but we'll just park it. Anything else, Bob? What do you think it is?
Yeah, well, if you want to pass, no, that's fine. The boys, Sakala, I'm really looking forward to seeing him. Mm-hmm. Really, really looking forward to seeing him. I've seen him on YouTube, and all right, you see a lot of him, but he looks quick, looks fast, looks capable. He's played at a decent level in Belgium, and I think he'll be able to do a decent job for us. So, good luck to the laddie when it comes round.
Did you hear Ross Wilson and Stuart Robertson's video about the Colts team? Did you hear that by any chance, Bob?
I've been aware of the Colts thing, and I think it's a good thing. I agree with Gary. I think it's a good thing that you'll be able to see. There's nothing like reality, Ox. It's all right training and playing at Murray Park and playing bounce games and what have you, but if you're actually in a league and there's an honour there for to win a league or win cups or whatever, and it's all total reality, and it can only be good for the laddies. And yeah, if they weren't in your hand, I would go along and watch them if allowed. Mm-hmm. I definitely think it's a good thing, a great thing. It'll produce some gems for us and save us a lot of money.
Right, okay. Dave Corby, you any thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, I think so. I know. I think the young lads need more experience in that. If they go into play in like the 17s and 18s, the ones that can't get into their first team, and they play in that B team, I think that'll be a good idea because it'll give them more experience. And like Bob Chair said, there'll be more. You know what I mean? They'll get more experience playing, and then they'll probably get in the first team. That's if Gerrard, you know what I mean?
Aye, I mean, I'm not going to. I think we'd be naive to think that 11 players are going to make it all of a sudden for every team it plays in the Colts League, Jaffa, but if you benefit all the players, it's got to push up the standard of Scottish football, isn't it?
Absolutely, Ox. I just don't see. I don't see how there's anything that's wrong about it for both the well-being of the young lads and for the well-being of the greater good of Scottish football. But in the time that you guys have all been talking, I've read the response from the SFA, who have released a statement this evening regarding it. And I mean, the statement's from the SFA, so they don't put a name to the statement, they just say it's from the SFA. And they're basically, I mean, it's just bin juice coming out of their mouth, that's all it is. It's rubbish saying that the Stuart Robertson and Celtic agreed at a working group not to proceed with it because they felt it was doomed for failure. So there again, they're judging proposals before it even gets to the clubs. I'm at pains with the SFA and the SPFL, really. They drive me insane.
Can I come in there, Ox?
I go, Alec. Bob's here, go on.
First time ever I've done a bridge, man.
All right, yeah. See, as we all can, I mean, Gary's mentioned the SFA there, and he's absolutely right. I mean, we all know how many centuries they are behind everything. I mean, you look at Holland, I believe Ajax, Pioneer, PSV, I believe they've got youth teams in lower leagues. Real Madrid certainly do. In Spain, I think Barcelona must do it. Yeah. No, why could we not do it? We've got two big clubs here. Why can we not do it for to produce young guys? But at the end of the day, the essence of the game is young guys, young people. And rather than people going about spending £100 million and £80 million on players, if it brings through gems and diamonds for you, so be it. It can only benefit the game, only benefit the clubs. So why not? But them, no, they've got the SFA. I've got to be the SFA. Okay?
Yeah.
You're bringing up me, boys. Right, okay, carry on, sorry.
Can I say something for a second?
Yeah, on you go, guys.
So, I think that, as clubs, whether big clubs that have got big supports and lots of pressure for players coming in, when you look at a young player, you can kind of tell you can't tell for certain, but you have a strong feeling, can this young lad cut the mustard? And what I mean by that is, if you look at recently, obviously Nathan Patterson, he had never played a men's game of football in his life. He'd never been loaned out anywhere. The reserve league doesn't exist now, so he's probably played a couple of bounce games against men, but he's never played in a competitive football game with other men. He's come straight from youth football right into the Rangers first team, and he's hit the ground running, right? But he's the exception, he's not the rule. That's not what kids, it's too much of a big jump. So in order for anybody in professional football or semi-professional football to get used to men's football, they have to go on loan to get that experience of playing against a 34, 35-year-old man when you're, a young boy 17, 18 up front, or, the equivalent playing fullback or whatever. That you need that experience. I think we can all appreciate that. But it's to the detriment of the two biggest clubs in Scotland. Now, if people are going to say, we don't want Rangers and Celtic having Colts teams because it would be, it would stop other teams developing. It would Rangers and Celtic would just get bigger. I think we can agree. Rangers and Celtic can't get any bigger in Scotland. They already hoover up the overwhelming vast majority of all the prizes. They already hoover up the overwhelming vast majority of all the talent. They already hoover up the vast majority of all the money. So how are they going to get any bigger? The only way we can do is try and feed down the way. So the only way you can feed down the way is by trying to inject some of that Rangers and Celtic wealth, if you like, into the lower leagues. And the only way of doing that you can see is by following suit of what's happened elsewhere in Europe, which is, the Barcelona and Real Madrid B teams, which, they can't get promotion. But they take part and they bleed these players through.
It's all about development, Gary. It's all about development. It's not about promotion.
Yeah, that's it.
But they take part.
So that's my two bobs worth. And it's young players coming through in the old firm. Young boys. I mean, that before my time, but I know Derek Johnson, he played for the Rangers first team and hit the ground running at 16, didn't he? So, and the Celtic players through the years that have come through. And I think, taking chance with youth, it does pay off if you get the right player. But some boys, the overwhelming vast majority of boys, especially in the middle of the park and stuff like that, you're not going to get a game where you're 21, 22, 23. There's a strong shout to say that even if Billy Gilmore had stayed at Rangers, he probably still wouldn't be playing first team football at Rangers. He's only got there because he went to Chelsea, probably. Does that make sense? Because would he have been trusted to be given that chance in the middle of the park? Who knows? Do you know what I mean? But there's no definite, that's what I'm saying.
You never know, mate. You never know. Bob, you were coming in there, mate?
Aye, I think Gary's covered it all really well. With what you're saying, as you said, Ox, it's all about developing the young guys, because clubs can't maintain spending all this level of money. I mean, it's been well documented with the I'm not going to jump to extremes here, but I mean, it's well documented with the Super League. And, you look at the money these clubs have spent, they've virtually ran out of money, a lot of them. And that's a cold, hard fact there. And you've got to turn the full circle to youth to try and develop their aim for to save money, save colossal amounts of money. And Gary's right. How bigger can Rangers and Celtic get in this country? They can't. And if it was going to